Oh, okay. All right. Seeing none. Rod, you don't see any?
No, I'm
Interest?
shocked. No
Okay.
hands.
Well, maybe they're waiting for the second public comment later.
Could be.
All right, then moving on, we have an audit presentation and John Pfeffer of Pfeffer, Hannaford and Polka auditing firm are here tonight. So, Mr. Pfeffer, I'll let you do the presentation.
All right, well, thank you very much, Kathy. Hopefully, again, as you mentioned, maybe next year we'll all be together again as we were in the past, so. But anyway, I just have some brief comments tonight. This is regarding the fiscal year ended March 31, 2021. So obviously a little historic as far as that goes. But anyway, I'll start right off the bat. Again, thanking the board for having us as your independent auditors. It's a privilege to work with you. And also all your staff for all their assistance during the audit. Doing the audit remotely is a new challenge that we are all, have to work with, but you guys done a great job with it and we appreciate all your effort. So I'll get right to it. The good news is we're issuing an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level that the independent auditor can issue, and which really says that your financial statements are presented fairly. Again, I just want to clarify, these are your financial statements. We're just giving an opinion on them. But the good news is when the state of Michigan gets this, hopefully later tonight, you will approve it. What that helps you with is maintaining your state share revenues, which is a significant portion of your revenues of the township. And it will help with your, possible bonding rate, should you have to go up for new bonds or anything like that. So it's very important to have this unmodified opinion, which you do have. As far as from a financial standpoint, I'd just like to mention just a couple things here. And I don't know if you all have the hardbound copy or PDF copy of the thicker report. Just in the thick report, just flip to page 53. It's really kind of the whole picture of the situation the township was in, again, back at March 31st, 2021. And page 53 is the balance sheet. So in other words, this is a snapshot in time of the financial condition of the general fund. And what this tells us is, the good news is at the time you had 1.2 million in cash, very little accounts payable or debt, and your net equity was again 1,271,000, which is really good. Now, the reason why I want to mention this is that we get the question a lot about what's a good fund balance. Do we have too much, too little? The good thing is that if you take what last year you had in expenditures plus your transfers, they were a little over 700,000. So the good news is that you have more than that amount in reserves. But again, I don't think it's too much. I don't think at all, because again, there's a lot of unforeseen things like we have with COVID. Again, we're still dealing with some of those challenges. We'll probably have it in 2021 and after. State share revenue is projected to decrease a little bit. And then, you always have increased delinquency rates on property tax collections and things like that. So we still have to be very cautious as far as that goes. And again, the general fund continues to help the water. And again, last year there was 125,000 that went over. And, again, you can't have enough fund balance in case some unforeseen thing happens there. One other item I wanted to mention tonight, and again, because we're not physically out there, some of these questions, that aren't answered, but I just want to mention that we still have the situation where the proceeds from the litigation are still being held by the township. And again, at some point in time, maybe with assistance of Bob, the attorney, delving into it, maybe make some recommendations to the township about what can possibly be done with these funds. Again, there's a lot of different thoughts on that. I'd rather not really talk about that right now, but you still have to deal with that going forward. I know there's been a change with Kathleen as far as supervisor, but she's been on the board, so she has an understanding of that. But again, new members on the board, things like that, everyone should be updated, in the future. Also, one other item I want to mention is that currently, again, Rod, that you do not have a deputy in place. And we really do highly recommend you do seek out a deputy treasurer for a number of reasons. But even the simple reasons, I hate to say, but absence, sickness, death, or disability, I mean, the township would be, really in trouble if any of those things happen to you. God forbid. But anyway, I just wanted to mention what I did reach out to the Michigan Township Association on that. And they clarified that when you read it, their interpretation is a treasurer and says shall must appoint a deputy who shall serve at the pleasure of the treasurer. And that goes on and on and on about what that person can do. But we really, really highly recommend, again, a township the size of Sylvan, that you should have a deputy. So I don't know what's been what the steps are you've been doing lately with that or looking into it. But our recommendation as independent auditors, you should have a deputy.
I am looking, John, and I'm actually gonna have our local online paper do a little thing for me too that I'm looking. To
Yeah,
see if we can find someone. Karen
Okay.
was my deputy, but she's no longer with us now.
okay. All right, well, again, as long as you're pursuing it, and then,
Yes.
I just highly recommend too, Rod, that you have them, be involved with the daily activities so that, if you should not feel well one day and you can't get in, that the office doesn't shut down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's an important thing. I just want to mention that. And other than that, I'll just open it up to questions that the board might have.
I just had one question. On this graph here where you show the expenses of the township,
Yeah,
I don't see the transfer to the water fund. I assume that's by,
yeah. What we do is, it's a good question. If you look on
Can I
page,
ask a question? I'm sorry, Kurt, what page is that?
it's on the graphs.
it's on the graphs.
The graphs? Okay.
In the smaller packet.
The smaller packet. Got
Okay,
it. Thank
so-
you.
One thing that'd help you is, how I had you on page 53 in the audit report,
Uh-huh.
go to 54.
Okay.
And here's what we do is, if you look at the expenditures, okay, so if you look at the middle column, this is what actually happened in the general fund in that fiscal year. So go down the middle column, 751 in revenues, 581, 676 in expenditures, and then the transfers a little bit lower, the 125. We typically don't show the transfers on this page because this is general fund expenditures. Transfers are not really considered expenditures.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, any other questions or comments from board members?
Kurt will move then to accept the financial audit Township of Sylvan.
I'll second. Rod will
A
second.
question.
Additional discussion?
I had muted myself, so I didn't get, I couldn't unmute myself fast enough to say I had a question
All right.
before we did
Perfect.
this. So, in reference to the letter that was, that we got in our packet today, I found it concerning. And I am really happy that you have suggested getting the treasurer getting a deputy because it's for everybody's health and protection. There's a whole range of skills things that I've asked the treasurer to do that, he may not have the skills or is not interested in doing that. But if he has a deputy, then there's 4 pairs of hands and just instead of just 2 pairs of hands doing everything. But a question I have when you're referring in the letter, you're referring to management several different times, management, and I don't understand who management is. Is it the treasurer? Is it the board of trustees? Who is that? Is it one person or a group of people who share responsibility?
It's really the board that shares responsibility. So this isn't one person.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
yep.
And I think too, Sandy, I think in the past, and Mr. Pfeffer, correct me if I'm wrong, some of these things are just almost like they come up year after year. And some of it is that we're a small township and we
Right.
can't maybe separate things as much. And so it will say, you know, management has, you know, determined that the need, it's just, it kind of comes up every year, but it's basically just saying we're a really small township and we don't have layers upon layers of, you know, people that things filter through. Is that right? I feel like some of them I've seen year after year.
You know, again, Sandy, what if you also, if you look back in the prior letters, you'll see there was many items that were brought up that a lot of them have been remedied, which is a good thing.
Right.
And Kathleen made a good point. These pages you have now are probably in 95% of our audit reports are just a standard kind of jargon because nobody has enough people in there to get all the controls in place that would make it impossible to have a problem. Okay.
Mhm, mhm.
And so that's really a good point. And if I was you reading this, I would go, wow, it says this and it says weakness and it says all that kind of stuff. If you pulled, most audit reports would have that. We have it in every one. And no one can do that segregation of duties when it's impossible. Actually, the state says if they don't see that, shame on us because it's supposed to be in there because it's impossible.
Mhm.
So that doesn't make any sense to me either, but
Right.
that's what it is. Okay, but that's a good question. So,
So I know there was one thing that Kathleen, when she was the clerk, something that she was doing, and she absolutely just could not do one more thing. And so handed that responsibility over to Rod. And I'm thinking that's probably, it's that type of thing that's being referred to. Kathleen, do you remember?
Was it the payroll when I was doing payroll?
Yeah, I think
and then
so.
handed that over, yeah, and Rod offered to take that, so.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe, and also, I know, like, yeah, a little bit that way, just that there's just in order to, you know, and the auditors are really, they talk about they're here to look for reasons for fraud or opportunities where fraud could happen. So, you know, if you went around the township, you might find things because there's not like John's saying, it's not possible to make it completely, you know, fraud proof. So
Yeah.
that it kind of comes up in everyone just because, you know, somebody always is out there thinking of a new way that they could, you know, hack your computer. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, so more along those lines, just that's their job is to look for every little instance where there could be a potential for fraud. And ultimately, like John said, it's impossible to be completely clear of that. So that's just kind of boilerplate on their
Yeah.
audits, so it seems.
Okay. Thank you.
Amanda, Rod, you have any questions or anything?
Nope, I'm okay.
Okay. All right, well, we have, is Amanda still here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
there you go. Okay. Well, then we have the motion from Rod and, no, from Kurt and the support from Rod to accept the finalized audit. So we'll do a roll call vote. Let's say Amanda,
Yes.
okay, Rod,
Yes,
Kurt,
Yes,
Sandy,
Yes.
Kathy, also yes. So motion carries. Wonderful. Thank you so much,
you very
Mr.
much.
Pfeffer and Kathy and everyone there at your firm. Tell them thank you.
All right, have a good evening. We'll see you.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Okay, so now we'll approve, we have the approval of the consent agenda, which contains 2 sets of minutes, the bills, committee reports, board reports, and department reports. I would like to pull out the supervisor report and just verbally mention a few things from that report. Does anyone have anything else they'd like to pull out of the consent agenda for discussion? All right, then I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the extraction of the supervisor's report for discussion.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion? All right, let's see, Amanda,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Kathy, yes, motion carried. And I'll just do that right now. I have a few things I wanted to mention. There's so many papers tonight. Oh dear, how did I do with my supervisor's report? So one of the things is I wanted to mention that we got our request for the American Rescue Plan funds in, and that the township was going to get approximately, oh, here it is. We are estimated to receive $313,168. Funds must be spent, no, can be spent upon receipt, must be obligated by December 31st, 2024. Funds must be expended by December 31st, 2026. And then there's a list of items that these funds can be spent upon. And so I attached for the board, and we can put it on our website, MTA fact sheets about what kind of things the money can be used for. And I think we all would like to have board input, public input on people's ideas on where the money should be spent. I think we're just going to receive it electronically. So that money will be there soon. We have time to plan and budget. Also wanted to mention that the county has a survey on their website for how they should spend their funds, and theirs are in the millions, tens of millions. So lots of money that they'll be distributing. So put your 2 cents in on that. One other thing, we are grateful for the interest expressed by Mike Jarosik, longtime Water Sewer Authority Secretary and former DPW member for Sylvan. And, for some time, we've been talking about the dissolution of the Water and Sewer Authority because Lima Township is no longer involved in the authority, and it is Sylvan and Linden. And Sylvan has all of the water. Linden doesn't use any of the water, and they only use a very small portion of the sewer system. So, we've been talking about this, and I've been talking with Supervisor Burns from Linden Township, and I've talked to Rod Fall about this, and I know Rod has as well. So I think at this point, we're going to put a hold on making any adjustments or appointments to the board of full members to the authority until maybe Supervisor Burns and myself can sit down with Mr. Thal and make a plan for a path forward in terms of getting the Water and Sewer Authority dissolved and Sylvan ready to do our part and Linden ready to do theirs. And then finally, I was mentioning too, I think the board should perhaps revisit the open space preservation district ordinance that was recommended by the Planning Commission, and it has just kind of sat for a long, long time. And I think it's a disservice. I know other people on the board feel the same way. So I wondered, I was talking, we mentioned it was Mr. Thal, we were wondering whether we would need to have another public hearing. It's been over a year that it has been sitting. So I just wanted to mention this, that this is on my radar. This is something I'd like to talk about for September or this, to get this moving again. A recommendation was made to the board and we didn't, we just kind of tabled it and it's been sitting. So we strive to have some resolution on that. And I just want to let the board know that, and public know, that's something that I would like to have us move on in the near future. So that is all from the supervisor's report. So having approved the consent agenda, now we will need to approve the agenda. I would like to ask that we move up the discussion of the transfer of prepaid taps to before unfinished business. And we also have an item to add tonight, which is consideration of a shared driveway application. And I would like to also move that up, those two items, while Mr. Thal is here, and we can address those two items with his assistants, and then he'll be free to leave the meeting if he needs to. So those are two changes that I would like to make to the agenda. Does anyone else have anything to add or subtract or move around? Okay. All right. Well, I will make a motion that we approve the agenda, moving the transfer of prepaid utilities and the addition of the consideration of the shared driveway application to above unfinished business.
I'll second that.
All right. Any discussion on the agenda? All right. We'll do a roll call vote. Amanda?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes,
Kurt?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Motion carries. All right. Thank you. Okay. Well, then first we have discussion of transfer of prepaid utilities, Lago Investments. And I know our attorney, Rob Thal, is here tonight. So Rob, if you'd like to fill the board in, or.
Yeah, sure. I can give you some background on it. And then also I think the property owner's attorney's here too. So
Okay.
She might want to address something too, but let me give some background first and just kind of my thoughts on it. So the matter involves the parcel A, which is the 30-acre Sylvan Limited Holdings property that was subject to a consent judgment from Circuit Court. And so the current owner of the property is now Lago Investments LLC, and their members are currently Larry Gotcher and Andrea Gotcher. So the attorney for the property owners contacted me regarding transfer of taps from parcel A to Danny Berry's project, which the township's approved, being Chelsea Springs number 2. Chelsea Springs 2 involves 29 dwellings, each with water and sewer taps. So the request is to transfer 29 water and sewer taps from parcel A to Danny Berry's project, being Chelsea Springs 2. So under the consent judgment, parcel A is allotted 56 sewer taps and 73 water taps. In this regard, the sewer taps have been prepaid and all but a couple of the water taps have been prepaid at this point. They still have a couple more payments. Rod can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have a couple more years left of payments, but it amounts to maybe a few more taps that they have to pay for. So they've paid for most of their water taps at this point. The consent agreement allows for the transfer of utility capacity by allowing a successor in interest to utilize capacity to serve other properties that they own or have an interest in that are located in the township. So as long as they have an interest in both properties, if there's unutilized capacity, the agreement allows them to transfer that capacity. So in this case, right now, Danny Very has a promissory note, security interest in parcel A. So he loaned Lago Investments some money and they gave him a promissory note and he has a security interest in parcel A. I don't believe that that's enough of a interest in parcel A to constitute being able to transfer between basically projects that you have going in both places. You know, it's just a security interest. So I discussed that with the attorney and let her know that I didn't think that was enough. And so they came back and I kind of go along with this other concept that they're providing, that they now propose an LLC interest in parcel A as a member, you know, so you would have Lago as a member of the LLC and Dan Very as a member of the LLC with an interest in parcel A as a member. And under that circumstance, if he has an actual interest in parcel A, Dan does, and so then he has both projects, you know, an interest in both projects, Chelsea Springs 2 and parcel A, then it's my belief that they could make the transfer of the taps. Part of the basis for that determination is that there's still remaining taps for parcel A. So that parcel A is not being stripped away of all their taps, and they still will have a meaningful number of taps, 27 sewer taps, 44 water taps for that parcel for development of parcel A in the future. It's indicated to me that this might help, you know, and I can't make this a condition or anything, but it might help the current owners of parcel A jumpstart some development of parcel A if they get some money in on those transferred taps. Also, it's my opinion that the parties would need to recognize that there's no guarantee of additional taps for parcel A. So if you allow the transfer of those taps from parcel A, you can't, we're not going to guarantee anything more than the remaining, you know, 27 sewer taps or 44 water taps. Doesn't mean that they couldn't get more, but that's all that we're required to provide. If they need more and more available, that's fine, but they would be responsible at the time that they need them to pay whatever the current cost is for those new taps for parcel A. And then if there's upgraded facilities like a lift station or who knows what might be needed to provide the additional capacity to parcel A at that time, they would have to pay for those costs too as a developer. Any developer would have to do that. So, you know, it just seems to me that if Danny truly has an interest in parcel A and he's developing right now Chelsea Springs 2, that these taps, which are a substantial number of taps sitting there for parcel A, could be transferred and used for Chelsea Springs 2. So that's my general overview of it, my thought of it. I don't know if Lago's attorney would like to make a statement or anything, Kristen.
Hi, everyone. I don't really have more to add to that. I just wanted to let you guys know that I am here to answer any questions you might have regarding it, and to let you know that both Dan and Lago are very eager to have the tap transfers happen.
Okay, great.
Rob, could I give you one comment, please?
Sure. Yeah.
Lago Investments is consistently behind, and sewer taps and taxes go to the county every year. I have no proof, we have no proof that he's brought those up and paid all the delinquents that he owes.
Yeah, well, they would definitely have to, I think definitely that has to be, everything has to be paid up. I mean, I don't think you can go ahead and allow transfer, away from the property if they're not paid up. I would think, certainly they can't be delinquent on any of the payments.
And they are consistently every year. I don't know if they've caught him up this year or not, or even last year. I mean, Mr. Gotcher says that he has, and I said, show me some proof. And he
Yeah,
never
so
will. He just wants me to say that he's paid without any proof, and I refuse.
Well, right, so, and that's, yeah, I mean, we should be able to verify the payments made. But I think it's fair enough to say that you can't be delinquent on those payments and then ask for something like a transfer of the taps.
I have a question, Rob. Seeing how this is consent judgment property, I'm assuming we'd have to make an amendment to that consent judgment. And-
Well, so I don't think we're actually making an amendment to it. You know, I've looked at that. We've talked about that a little bit before, but I looked at it a little more to see if we'd have to go and get like a circuit court judge to sign off on it. And frankly, I think it's really actually just exercising the terms of the actual consent judgment. Because the section, let's see, I think it's, what section? It's a section in there, maybe section 17 of the agreement, I hear here, specifically allows for the transfer of the taps. So I don't think we really, all we're doing is allowing for the exercise of 13, paragraph 13 of the agreement. But I do think that we need an agreement that, you know, there's some conditions on it. But I don't think they have to go back through the court because we're not doing anything outside of what's allowed for in the consent judgment. But I did consider that. I thought, you know, because I was thinking, well, does this have to go to circuit court or not? And I don't think it does.
Okay, yeah, I
If
guess
this
it's,
is something that goes forth, Rob, is it possible that we put the payments as a condition also? That they
The-
give proof of paid delinquencies?
Oh, sure. Oh, yeah, yeah. I think we can certainly add that. We'll have to have an agreement that they recognize the fact that they only have this many taps left. And that if they, you know, if they need more taps, it's whatever's available at that time. And it's at whatever the cost is at that time. You know, if you're gonna take them away, they still have a substantial number. I don't know how many taps they would need to develop it or what their use of it would be. They still have, you know, they could put 44, you know, they have 44 water taps and 27 sewer. I don't know why they were not the same amounts, but in any case, they have still a substantial number of taps. But if they need more taps, we need to have it recognized in an agreement between the owners, whoever those owners will be of parcel A in the township, that you know, they're going to have to pay whatever the going rate is with if they need more taps, and it's only if they're available at that time.
yeah, so my concern is that parcel A in the consent judgment says it has, you know, say 44 prepaid taps. And somebody buys it up and they say, okay, let's do those 44 taps. And we say, well, no, you know, we made a change. There aren't 44 prepaid anymore. Some of those were shifted over to a different parcel. There's really only 20 some prepaid. And if you want to do those additional 24, you now have to do it at the going rate. So you really need a good paperwork trail on this.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Kurt. So I think one of the conditions has to be that's recorded too. So that, you know, if somebody goes to buy it, that it is that the agreement is recorded. So they can see on record title this, because you're right, they could look at it and just see the consent agreement. You could sell it and they look at that and they think they got more taps, and then they find out, oh, I don't have it. So I think it's a good point, and I think it needs to be a condition that it be recordable. The agreement between the township and the property owner be recorded.
Thank you.
Good comments, good discussion. Amanda or Sandy? Do you have any questions right now?
No.
Okay. Okay. So I appreciate having our attorney's guidance. I appreciate Attorney Davis being here as well and willing to answer any questions we have. Um, I wrote down, and I had kind of discussed earlier with the attorney, some of the conditions if this is to be approved. So I just want to recap those real quick. A condition that Danny Very acquires an interest in parcel A through proposed limited liability company with township's approval. That it's be a written recorded agreement between the township and the property owners of parcel A. That the property, okay. Hold on a second. Recorded. Delinquent. Okay. I'm actually, if I'm going to back up, I'm going to put you on full screen here. So I'm going to make a motion at this point, and I'm going to try to encapsulate all of the conditions that we put down. I move to approve the transfer of 29 prepaid sewer taps and 29 prepaid water taps from the 30-acre parcel A property as referenced in the Circuit Court consent judgment as to Sylvan Limited Holdings LLC, which is now owned by Lago Investments, to Danny Very's Chelsea Springs 2 development. The transfer of utility capacity is allowed pursuant to paragraph 13 of the consent judgment, with there still remaining with parcel A a number of sewer and water taps to provide capacity for the development of the parcel. The transfer is conditioned on the following. 1, Danny Very acquire an interest in parcel A through a proposed limited liability company with the township attorney's approval, that the limited liability company provides Danny Very with a substantial property interest. 2, that it be recognized by written recorded agreement between the township and the property owners of parcel A, that the property is only guaranteed capacity at the remaining number of taps, and that if any further taps are needed for development of parcel A, to the extent there is additional capacity available, the taps must be purchased at the going rate at that time, and that the owners of parcel A will be responsible for any additional utility facilities necessary to provide the additional capacity. 3, the owners of parcel A pay the township's reasonable attorney fees associated with the approval of these items. And then also 4, we mentioned tonight, proof of paid delinquencies. So that is my long and rambling motion. I think I caught all of the
Mhm.
conditions
Yeah.
in there.
I'll second.
Did I miss anything, Mr. Thaw?
No, it sounds good.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Rod, you supported?
Yes.
Okay. Any further discussion right now from the board on this? Before we vote? All right, hearing none, we will do a roll call vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes.
Kurt,
Yes.
thank you. Sandy? Was that yes, Sandy?
Yes.
Oh, thank you. All right, and Kathy, myself, yes, also. Motion carries.
Good.
Very good. All right, well, we have some work to do to get the, where there's some work to be done. But very good, thank you. All right, next item is the added item tonight, which is a consideration of the shared driveway application. And I know these documents came to you late, board members. It's been in the hopper for a while, and we're finally getting all the recommendations back in. And Amanda's done a great job coordinating this and getting it out to the right entities. So Amanda or Rob, if either one of you guys want to fill in a little background here also.
You want, I
Well,
can,
yeah, okay.
Go ahead, Rob, goodness.
I was just gonna say, so this is our first endeavor into our shared driveway ordinance. And so it does require approvals of the engineer, of the attorney, and fire department. And so it's had to go through these processes. The big part of it is the maintenance agreement is probably the biggest part from a legal standpoint for me. They did a really nice job, I thought, on the maintenance agreement. It's well put together. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Attorney Green put it together. It's a good agreement. The one thing that stuck out to me, obviously, was the length of the drive, because our ordinance says they can only go to 1,000 feet. And if it goes further, then they're going to need a variance to go further. And so this one does extend out further. You know, you can look at the map that they provided or the drawings that they provided. And so that aspect of it requires a variance for approval. And so that's kind of from my standpoint, that's, you know, we definitely would have to address something in that area. And so, you know, I know Amanda has had contact with the township engineer and the fire department on some specific things that they wanted to see in it. And so I think when you couple in the review process, I think it's worked well. You got input from the engineer, from the attorney, from the fire department, and you end up with something that you probably could approve with conditions based upon those kind of comments. So, and if Amanda wants to weigh in here, but I think the engineer basically said that she needed to see more, just more information on the drainage from the driveway. And so that would be something that would have to be added, you know, in any approval. Again, the fire department then addressed compliance with the NFPA code number 1, which is the fire code, and to make sure that the road is kept clear of vegetation so that the fire apparatus can get back to the property. So that's one of the big things, you know, when you have the length, you always get concerned if you're going too far out that maybe the fire department might have trouble if they got to fight a fire back there and how they can turn the vehicles and move around. So, you know, they looked it over. They really are just requiring compliance with the code, which means they have to keep it clear of vegetation sufficient so that they can get back there with the fire apparatus. Over a number of years, you can get trees and other things that may, you know, might be fine to drive under with a car, but you're not getting a fire truck under there. So it'll be incumbent upon them, and it needs to be added to the maintenance agreement, this compliance with the NFPA code and the requirement to keep it clear of vegetation. So that's a part of it from the fire department. The engineer also noted that they will have to have compliance by meeting any requirements of the Washtenaw County Road Commission. If they have any further conditions for the entrance onto the road. And then finally, you know, the board would have to approve a variance. And I think a variance based on the conditions that you might put on there would be valid. You know, making sure that the fire apparatus has proper access to the back property. So those are my comments. I don't know if you have anything more you want to add, Amanda?
No, that's, you know, we've discussed this and I think we've covered all of our bases. So I feel good about approving a conditional variance.
All right. So Rob, will we make 2 motions, or will it be, will we approve a variance and then also approve the driveway application, or will the approving the application include the?
I would make it one motion condition, you know, with, you know, approving the driveway with a variance based upon the following conditions. And then,
Okay. All right.
Kathy, I know you have some verbiage, so I'm gonna let you, you make
Okay,
this
what
motion.
I've
It's
been-
complicated.
Writing these down. Okay. Well, I will move to approve the application with the variance. So I should be more specific. What did we have? So I approve we didn't have anything in the approve the driveway application with the variance. And I should reference the parcel number or the address.
You parcel number and maybe the requesting party.
Okay. So Amanda, you have the parcel number and then it's James Sarno, that's the applicant.
I think I think it might be Leaf. Leaf is who's applying for it.
Mangelson.
Mhm.
Okay. All right, I will move, we approve the driveway application with variance based for parcel number, whatever the parcel number is, owner of Leaf Mangelson with the following conditions. 1, verification of proper drainage to satisfaction of engineer Sue Dickinson. 2, an amendment to the maintenance agreement requiring compliance with the NFPA Code 1. More particularly provide that the drive be kept clear of vegetation sufficient for firefighting apparatus access at all times. 3, compliance with any Washtenaw County Road Commission requirements. Actually, is that it? Just the 3?
I think so, yeah.
I think so too. So approve the application with the variance based on those 3 conditions. And that is my motion.
I will support that.
Amanda? All right, do we have any board discussion or comments?
I'm good.
Okay, all right, hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. We'll go with Amanda.
Yes.
Okay, Rod,
Yes,
Kurt,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Kathy, yes. Motion carries. All right, we did it. Our first driveway application. So, all right, so I think that's it for the items that we moved up. So we'll just be revisiting unfinished business. So Rob, you're welcome to stay or you can go. I do see that the first thing under unfinished business is update on allowing marijuana micro businesses, which I think is just a discussion point right now.
Mhm.
But
So
we're,
maybe I'll just stay for that and then I'll take
Yeah.
that, please go home and
okay,
get home early.
that sounds good. So I think on our end, Rob, we're talking to a couple people, you know, Rod had someone who contacted him, I had someone who contacted me. I kind of suspect they might be from the same group of people that are under this LLC or whatever they are right now, but we'll see. And I know you had also mentioned that you had some names of people potentially, if we found that we had more places we wanted to visit.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and I think too, I wanted to mention that when we were talking one time, I know you said that there's actually a relatively small number of approved micro businesses in the state of Michigan. So,
Yeah, I'm not aware, frankly, I'm not aware of any right now, but I'm sure there probably are a few, but yeah, so I don't know if there are some out there, you know, to be able to go see them. I mean, you could contact MRA and ask them if there are any approved micro business and then find out where they're located. They would tell you that.
okay. All right.
You know, if they're in your area, maybe you could go see what a micro business looks like.
Mhm.
You know, versus, you know, a traditional retail or, you know, processing or grow operation, which you could, I'm sure you can easily find somebody around there that will show you their facility. I mean, many of the, you know, if you get in contact with the companies or their attorneys, they're more than happy to try to show you how nice their facilities are because they'd like you to open up the township to allow them in, and they'll be quick to file an application. So it might not be hard to find some places around you, but if you do have some trouble finding, what you might want to see, I can provide you with some other contacts in that area.
Great.
So actually, Rod, with the person who contacted him, he sent 2 dates to the board. And we're waiting to hear from 2 members of the Board of Trustees as to whether or not they can make either one of those dates. And I think the first was next Monday. And the second date offered by this person is 2 weeks later. So I was waiting for us to decide about the first, and then I'll go back and contact Sam, tell him, where we're going, and set something up with him. If I think we need to, the retail places, everybody tells me they're kind of like the same. So, and that's just easy. All we have to do is drive to Jackson. There are many retail opportunities. We can just walk in and visit ourselves, but I'm real interested in the laboratories and grow facilities to see what those look like. But we're just waiting on some Board of Trustee members to say yay or nay to the date.
Let me just add one thing in there. So if you have you have to be very careful that you don't violate Open Meetings Act. Okay, so if you have a quorum of the board attend,
We will.
you cannot talk about anything. You can go and look at the facility, but you can't discuss like how it would relate to the township or anything that would be township related business. You can look at what they're doing, ask them about what they're doing there, but you can't have any discussion about how that would apply to the township or, that could be located here or anything like that. It can just be kind of a tour of their facility, asking them questions about the facility. Then you got to come back to a board meeting and have the discussion about it.
I plan on taking notes during the visit, every place that we visit, and make sure that we
Right.
all, in case somebody can't come, they'll have some notes. And if they let me take pictures, then I'll take pictures too.
Mhm.
Yeah, thanks for that.
I don't think you're
reminder,
gonna
Rob.
get that.
Probably not, but you have to ask. And thanks for the reminder, Attorney Thal,
I just like to be careful about that. Yeah.
of course.
Definitely. Okay, so that's just unfolding and we'll be visiting places and this will just be on our agenda as we go forward, so.
Yeah, I think we're looking at the week of the 16th with Stacy.
Mhm. Okay,
I just gotta hear back from a day from her.
all right, well, we will all check our emails and make sure, I'm pretty sure I'm one of the ones that needs to get back with you, so somebody else does too, so we'll look into that.
But I told her the week of the 9th was out, period.
Okay.
So that's why we're looking the week of the 16th.
Okay. All right, does anybody have any more questions for our attorney while he's here about this or anything? All right, well then we will
Great.
move on our agenda and great. Thanks for being here
All right.
tonight, Rob.
Yeah.
Thanks,
for
Rob.
having me.
Good night.
All right.
Good night.
Night. Okay, next on unfinished business is the township investment policy that just has kind of rolled around here for a month or two. I know when we originally considered it, I think there was request for investment information. So where are we on that? What's the scoop on that, Rod?
Treasurer's report. It's all the TCF information is in there that was requested. That's where the money is segregated.
Would it be possible, I think, and I think maybe what I remember Sandy saying last time is that and for her and for me sometimes too, it's hard to look at that and figure out what is what is what's the lawsuit money, what's the you know, the money that's in the general ledger right now as bills are going in and out. So if you had any insight or could, you know, format it differently that so that we could see. Try to find it.
Short of, I don't know how we do that, to be perfectly honest with you. The investment policy, I mean, the statements are no big secret. And with the ones going back to the ones that have already come due and we received the checks on, I'm not real sure how to cover that.
Well, those are separate in a separate account, right? Like a,
The TCF bank has all of those monies in it that have come due and we've been paid. 65,000 is the only thing that is not township lawsuit money.
Sorry, could you say that again?
Everything that's in the TCF account except 65,000 is township lawsuit money. That's what I put in my report too.
so I see TCF here a couple places. I see TCF with the general fund at 69,000 and then a trust and agency that's got over $1 million.
Then it's the 69,000. I thought it was 65.
Okay. So the trust and agency. Is that where, and this is just where I have trouble trying to figure out where that 2 point, you know, whatever that we got from the lawsuit funds is right now. It kind of just gets lost in the sea of numbers to me. So I don't know if there's a way that you could, you know, show us where those are. I think also I'm kind of digressing because that's not really investment. I think Sandy was wondering like, and I think you're going to be making some changes, but where the money is invested right now. And I guess it's in the accounts right now. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes. There's 3 or 4 more that are gonna come due. And I could make a copy of that page on the statement and send it around.
That would be great. And I think that's exactly what, and not to speak for Sandy, but what I would like to see too is kind of like where, you know, what vehicles we have that money in and maybe, you know, when they're going to mature or just sort of a glance that makes more sense to non-numbery people than the current, which is good. And we would like to continue to get that, but maybe just have something else. And I don't know if other townships around here have a template, you know, you could look at, or we could kind of just try to base it off of so we could see.
Because I did go talk to
where-
Catherine McClary and she said that what I'm doing is exactly what I should do. And because you're getting them every month, the year-end report is all 12 of those previous months.
Yeah.
Exactly what she told me.
Yeah, well, and that's fine. And I think, you know, we have new board members now. I was thinking we should probably all go back down to Catherine McClary's office and Greg Dill and sit with them and discuss what year we are on the bond, you know, our biannual meetings that we were going to do that we haven't done in a while. And so, you know, when that comes up, the interest on the advances always comes up, you know, how much they're charging. And we always compare it against what we're currently making. So that's just something that I'm thinking about right now. Like, what are we currently making?
The
What
ones
is
that
our
are,
interest rate? We
the
got
ones
money
that are,
there.
the ones that are still parked at the investment company, they can look like they're up or they're down, but the bottom line is when they come due, we're guaranteed a certain percentage.
Mhm. Well, that would be awesome to have that information somewhere. I think, you know, something that you could, you know, give us that would have those those numbers there for us. And I'm sure what you're doing is sufficient, but just wonder if we could have more just to have some clarity on the investments, the money.
Mhm. Okay.
Does anybody else have anything to add there?
The non-financial person, I have successfully avoided my entire life being a treasurer of anything or having to keep the books for anything. So every time, and I've taken a class more than once on how to read financial statements. What would be helpful for the people who look at these statements is like in a spreadsheet or in a format that I don't have to like, I'm sorry, I really don't know anything. And it would be helpful to have it like in some kind of, not really a spreadsheet, because they're not that easy to read either, but something that has the left column says something, and then there's, and then at the end on the right-hand side, then you can tell what you have exactly. Accounting
no idea
terms
what you're
are
talking about.
non-intuitive. They're not in, I'm sorry, what?
I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. The format you're talking about.
That's kind of how I feel about financial reports. We'll see if we can find something. We'll see if we can find something and pass that along that might be helpful in how to help non-financial people figure out what they're looking at.
But just to make sure that everybody understands, what you're asking for in the investment policy are two completely unrelated things. That was per Karen. And she said that to Kath too. Kath was standing there when she said it also.
I'm sorry, I had muted myself. I guess that, technically they are different whether we're approving another vehicle or not, but I think it's all sort of under the umbrella of investments. And if it's, if the board would like to have that information, I think that's okay too.
I will point out
They
that
are two
pretty
different
soon,
things.
I will point out that pretty soon TCF, very soon, they're already advertising they're part of Huntington.
Yeah,
So we'll have illegal money in there unless it gets changed.
well, don't you have there's like 5 or 6 other banks that are listed on the investment policy that you could go to, correct?
Yeah.
It's not just TCF.
Yep.
So it would just be the addition of the other class pool that was recommended to us by Woodhill.
Yeah, but even without that, totally without that, that TCF has to be changed to Huntington for me to keep funds in there.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I thought the only change was the addition of that class pool that was recommended to us.
So I had the change from TCF to Huntington there also.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. All right, well, let's, I wonder how imminent that is.
I don't know, on their website, welcome to TCF, part of New Huntington.
Uh-huh.
So the
Yeah.
transfer has already taken place, but
Right.
things that you can, like I have all my accounts there. You know, my checking account is still good. It won't change
Right.
account numbers for a little bit, but then they're
Okay.
even going to change account numbers.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, let's get that, in front of us again, maybe in September, and then we can, hopefully there won't be any illegal will be name changes or anything before then, and we'll be okay with that. I thought it was the other addition there. So
Nope. That's
All
why I had said, I give up. I don't care if it gets changed or not, but we have to change the Huntington.
Okay. All right, very good. Any other discussion on investments, investment policy? Okay. All right. So next on our agenda under the unfinished business is sewer resolution. And we let Attorney Thal go, could have maybe used him here. I don't think he has had any time to talk with me. I know last time we talked, we were going to try to get on the same page with Washtenaw County and see if we could come up with some language that would work for us in creating a sewer district. I don't think anything has happened on that, so if anyone has input right now, that would be fine. Otherwise, we'll just mark it as tabled for now, and I'm sorry. Does anybody have any input on that, the sewer resolution issue?
Nope.
Okay. Okay, next up, website renovation. And I know Rod posed the questions to STG that we had, and I think, did everyone have a chance to look at the response? I think it
Yeah.
looked pretty good. They,
Mhm.
I think they said it was like a day turnaround time. Was one of the things that we wanted to know, how quickly, if we did the,
Yeah, if it was something easy, it was a 1-day turnaround.
right. And I think most of our things
Yeah.
will be. Oh, here we go.
So with STG, weren't there two separate levels of service?
Yeah, and
There
they
was like a
did,
gold and a silver.
yep, and then, and as I said, there was an error there.
That
There's
typo
those
that
two,
we-
they were reversed. The
Mhm.
30-page,
Oh, okay.
30 and 50-page, those were reversed.
Yep.
So we helped them fix an issue with quotes for them.
And they already work with minutes on demand. It looks like they're familiar with that, so that shouldn't be a problem. I did like at the end of his email, he said that they back their work with a 30-day money-back guarantee. If at
Yeah.
any point up to 30 days after site launch, you aren't happy, you have the right to cancel and owe nothing. We offer that because we're expanding rapidly and need to make sure that all of our clients are good references. So,
And coming right off the MTA website, to me, that says a bit.
mhm.
I guess I'll put forth a motion that we retain STG to rebuild our website.
Second that.
Do we want to put a level in that motion? The goal, what is the level that?
That's what I was looking for right now so I could finish.
Yeah, I know, I don't
Sorry.
see.
Oh, wait, that's not it. This is it. They have a silver, you mean like the silver package or the gold package? That's that.
Right, yeah,
Then there was the assistance, the monthly assistance, which was a different thing.
Two different things, yep.
mhm.
So let me try to remember what the differences were. They were not a huge difference, but there was. Well, fillable
Yeah.
PDFs was one.
Right.
Fillable PDFs and then
And
the pages.
yeah, and the other one is
Right.
35, one is 50, and those two things are switched. It should be 50 for the gold, 20 or 35 for the silver.
Right.
And I don't know if we really have a need for fillable PDFs online, do we?
I think it would be a great idea.
Yeah. I do
Sometimes it
too.
would be. Yeah, and it's, I mean, it's not that much more to put it on there.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, I looked at some at one of the other communities that they do the website for, and it's like, so I was looking at the forms to see how the forms were. And they all look like they print them out and then take them to the township hall.
Mhm.
And if you don't have to take it to the township hall, then it should be fillable online. One of them was like asking, like if for a driveway or something, you're going to have to provide a drawing. So that you're going to have to take in. I mean, some things you just cannot do in a fillable form, but if it's just a simple, straightforward form that people should be able to do that. We don't need to be coming into the township all the time.
So here's what my
So,
motion, what's that?
The pricing for hosting and maintenance yearly cost.
Yep.
One option A is $500 a year, and then option B is fully managed at $750. Sorry. I suggest that we go for the fully managed at $750.
I agree. Kate Zarenko and I went through this and she definitely agreed with the 750. It's not that much more.
No, it's not. All right, so here's my, I'll make a motion that we approve STG as the company to rebuild the website with the elect of the gold package at $24.95 to build it and $750 a month yearly to maintain it.
I second that.
So the 750 is just a year though, right? Not a month, just a year.
Correct. Per
Okay,
year. Which I think is a good deal.
yeah. I thought you said a month in your motion. It threw me for a minute.
No.
I think. Okay. Okay, so that was Rod and Sandy, correct? Rod made the motion and Sandy
Mhm.
supported. Okay.
Yes.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll do a roll call vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes,
Kurt,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes.
Kathy, yes. Motion carries.
hey, I'm glad to see that
All
done.
right, on to a new and better
So I would
website.
like to volunteer. I would like to volunteer to help in working with the company on our website. Ages ago at work, I had to lay out like not on paper, but kind of on paper, how what people would see when they came to our website. And that's not a lot of experience, but it's some, and I would like to participate and, and meet with them or whatever it is they're going to do. I would like to do that too. I like to assist.
Excellent. Thank you, Sandy.
And then
Well, I
another
guess-
question I have, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So we had several people, entities give us proposals for this. So how do we let them know who we have? What is the process for letting them know that we have selected somebody and they're not it?
In the past, Susan calls everyone, be it lawn care, snow removal, whatever, and then
Okay.
just tells them thanks for their proposal, but they were not selected.
Okay, great. I just wanted to know how it happened. That's all.
that's
Thank you.
perfect. We'll have to go mention that tomorrow to Susan so she can do that for the board
Yeah.
and contact them. Okay. Lisa, postage machine.
I looked
So-
into doing the tax bills through a company and I asked them flat out what difference would sorting makes, and I had to explain to them what I meant. And they said that if we did that, it would far negate anything we would say. So I'll continue doing as I am. But we need to replace the postage machine no matter what. It's getting pretty raggedy. And I know that I verified the Postbase Vision A5 because he gave a different price per month. And then when I cornered him on it, I said, no, we are getting this at $160 per month. And he said, yes. I mean, $140 per month. He said, yes.
And that is the postage machine as opposed to, I think, was there some confusion as to the model
Yeah.
number, that it was a sorter as opposed to a,
Sorter in a folder. Yeah, that was in addition. I really truly thought that was one machine and it wasn't. So
So I know we made a motion last month.
yeah, but
So
it
the
was
motion-
the wrong one. It was for the FPI 700, which we don't want. That's the one that's in addition to a postage machine. It's not a
Okay.
standalone. So, I mean, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the Post-Based Vision A5 at a cost of $140 per month for 63 months.
So Vision, a vision, is that like VISION? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay.
Yes, Post-Base, all one word, Vision A5.
Mhm. Okay, and that's 140 a month.
Correct.
Okay,
How many months, Rod?
63. I don't know why that odd number.
yeah, that is an odd number. That's a
Yes.
long time too.
I will second that.
And this has the self-sealing thing, right? Or the sealing, I'm sure they all
Yes.
come with that anymore, but.
It has a self-sealing and it feeds the envelopes,
Uh-huh, okay.
which will greatly reduce my time.
All right, so we have a motion from Rod, supported by Amanda. Is there any discussion before roll call vote?
A question.
Sure.
So there's different people who mail things for different reasons from the township hall. Is this what everybody else wants too, Rod?
They just use what we have. They
Okay,
always have. They just said, here's a check for our postage use.
okay.
Well, Sandy, we've discussed it in the office and we've looked at some different models and this is right in the middle of the road. You know,
Okay,
for models, so this makes sense.
okay, thanks.
And my thought on it too, as being the previous clerk, some things like the applications to vote come in a specific envelope that has official election mail on it. So I almost wondered if that was something we could outsource, because if we could outsource everything, that'd be great. But if we have to outsource some and still have to keep some in-house, it would be nice that, especially that sealer is really yucky and funky.
Yes.
So, yeah,
And
but I
yes,
appreciate
there-
you thinking about that, because there's a lot of people that use it. So,
And with that one, it's either soaking wet or doesn't stick. There's kind of no in between. It's been well used.
yeah. All right, thanks for the comment, Sandy. Anybody else?
I assume we're budgeted for this.
That's an excellent question. I don't believe that we are.
Yeah, I don't know.
We only budget for, what we've done in the past. So we are halfway through the fiscal year, and I think our payments on the current one are really low. I want to
Mhm.
say it's like $39 a quarter. So this is going to be a significant
it's 30
increase.
It's $39 a month, isn't it? Can't they bill us quarter or, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Either way, even if it is 39 a month,
Yeah.
that's $100 more. So that's at least $600-700 from now till the end of the fiscal year that we did not budget this cost for.
Do we need a budget amendment?
We would need a budget amendment. I know in the past, Mr. Pfeffer is gone now too. I think we have done budget amendments as we approach the end of the fiscal year. There may be other places where we'll be over or under, but I think, and Kurt, you and Rod have been on the board as long as I think we could approve this tonight and then just, we know we'll have to make it a budget amendment somewhere
Right.
in the future before the end of the fiscal year to make
And
everything.
I remember us making a line of budget amendments and approving them one by one by one.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good comment though, Kurt. We did mention that in the office. I'm glad that you brought it up because this is not a budgeted expense. Okay, motion by Rod, supported by Amanda. We'll do roll call vote. Amanda,
Yes.
Rod,
Yes,
Kurt,
Yes.
Sandy,
Yes,
Kathy, yes. Motion carried. I wonder if we need to do anything about last month's motion or just revoke that in any way, or we'll just, it was, it referenced the incorrect model. Is that
Correct.
right? In last
Right.
month's? Okay. Well, maybe it's not. Yeah. All right. All right, that's it for unfinished business. And then under new business, we just have the Water Sewer Authority appointments.
You
Sean
covered
was
that.
talking about earlier, and what's that?
You covered that.
I kind of covered that, temporarily. We're gonna just put that on pause, and I appreciate everybody's understanding. And then Supervisor Burns and I can, talk obviously with the authority also, but try to move in a positive direction for that. All right, that concludes the business of the meeting. Now we have second public comment.
There goes Patrick.
Hi, Patrick.
His hand is up.
Perfect, okay.
Thanks, Kathy. Good evening, everybody. Obviously everybody has a lot on their plates, and I mean, actually, I'm happy with the idea that some things are moving forward. It's good to hear that we're, talking to Pam Burns and visiting the marijuana facilities and so forth, and getting the website redone, especially. But well, they're all important. But a big one is lurking out there, though. As the auditor mentioned, the malpractice funds are still sitting there without a resolution, without a conclusion on what to do about them. I think out of an understanding that this really is the people's money, right, and the township is the stewards of that money, of course. And it's a large amount of money, and people are paying their millage tax year after year. That this ought to be moved to a high priority as well. I know it's a complicated question. It gets into financial forecasting of the township and all kinds of stuff like that. And it's too bad that the process stopped about 6 years ago when, after we did have 1 or 2 public hearings on it. But I guess the only way to restart it is really to restart it, and maybe we have to have somebody doing the financial analysis and holding another public hearing, or there should be some kind of plan to how do we resolve this, right? I don't know. I'm not going to presume any particular resolution of it. Maybe in the end we decide that we have to hold on to it because the township needs an extra rainy day fund or something. I'm not presuming any particular outcome. But I think you really do owe it to all the residents to actually get on this and make a conscious decision about it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Any other public? Anybody from the public want to say anything, address the board?
No hands.
No hands. All right. Then a board of trustee member comments.
I have a question. So have we decided that we're going to visit facilities at Adrian on August 16th or not?
I'm waiting for a confirmation back from Stacy.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Perfect. And I'm going to work with my calendar. I feel like I have something on the 16th, but I also want to say, I want people to go when there's a critical mass. It doesn't need to be, be
Right.
necessarily me, or I can go on a next field trip with a different group or something.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good.
And
Perfect.
it was actually stated the week of September 6th.
If
or
we
August 16th.
can, you know how hard it is to get people together. It's really hard.
And I told her, we probably won't get 100%, maybe 60%,
Yeah.
maybe 80, who knows?
Yeah. Okay. All right, very good. All right, well, I want to mention, I always feel like I miss an opportunity to address the board while we're together. And I think one of the things that, a couple different things have come out of conversations with Attorney Thal and with Carol at various times. One of them being that we, as we're looking forward and as we're budgeting for next year, which we will be starting in the fall, you know, in order to get our ducks in the row, to get the public, you know, version out there and have time for them to look at it, digest it before you approve it. We'll be budgeting soon. One of the things that Carol suggested, and I've seen in other communities, is sort of a joint board planning commission ZBA meeting. That's a lot of people. But I think it's interesting to see how the board, what things we can address, what ordinances we can address, what burdens can we relieve from the ZBA or the planning commission? What types of things does the ZBA see come up over and over again that perhaps we could address through better ordinances? You know, Lake District or some sort of designation, something that would help planning commission and ZBA. They see things that we don't. So I think that's a great idea. It could help us prioritize also while we're budgeting for next year, what kind of ordinances we want to work on, what we could get a lot of, you know, bang for our buck on some of those things. And one of those things also is Attorney Thal has mentioned that some other communities have like an administrative approval on certain items. So things that would normally trigger someone to have to come back to planning commission to get approval for some sort of change that happened on their property, that some communities have administrative approval in there if it's not a significant change. And that I think would relieve people significantly if they didn't have to come back to planning commission, pay another $900, put down their $2,500 deposit. If it's something, you know, that Carol could approve. I don't know if Carol alone would want to have that ability or authority, but maybe the zoning administrator and the supervisor can sign off on small insignificant changes and relieve the burden of returning to the planning commission over and over again when maybe you're adding one parking spot or there's something small that's changed. So I like that idea. I just want to, you know, Thal said it seems like it'd be pretty small, easy language just to put in our Muni code. So I want to have that conversation and we'll keep talking about that. But that's sort of my vision for the next few months. And then, you know, hopefully having some resolution on the open space too. So, yeah. That will conclude my comments. Anybody else? No?
I will move to adjourn.
All right. Kurt
I will
moves to
second.
adjourn at 8:29. Supported by Rod. Any discussion? Amanda?
Yes.
Rod?
Yes.
Kurt?
Yes.
Sandy?
Yes.
Kathy? Yes. Motion carries. All right. Thanks
Cool.
very much, everybody.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good
Thank-
night.